any information or communication to the public under the circumstances helps quite a lot. I see the Western Cape government doing something almost similar to what Eskom has been doing. Eskom has got an online data portal which most people don't know about, where you can basically go and see what's happening on the generation side, what's happening on the demand side, and you can be able to do your own projections in terms of load shedding. You can also see the projections in terms of the generation and the demand side of things. So the portal that the Western Cape government is starting, it's a welcome kind of a situation because it assists the citizens or the residents in the province to understand what the province is doing, and also to see what's happening in terms of the generation, in terms of the energy situation in their province, and that can also assist in terms of businesses planning going forward. The Western Cape government has got various initiatives. Most of these initiatives started before Andre de Ruyter resigned from Eskom. I can remember as far back as 2020 when some of these initiatives came into the picture. Around 2021 towards 2022, the Western Cape government was looking at things such as reviving the Athlone power station. They revived the Steenbras pump storage. That's about 180 megawatts of power. They're very proactive, especially in the city of Cape Town when it comes to things such as your embedded generation. The city of Cape Town even got exemption from competitive bidding for them to be able to pay residents and businesses for power that they feed into the grid. So all those initiatives are initiatives that the provincial government can then put into the portal for people to see what is happening. So for me, it's a welcome initiative. The initiative of bringing in new generation capacity through IPPs, and I see most of the things that they are relying mainly on the feed-in tariffs, without capping or without reducing the amount of power that people can put into the grid. It becomes a good example of what other cities can do as well. So for me, it's a welcome kind of an initiative. The Western Cape, in general, they are the third biggest consumer of electricity, consuming about 14% of the electricity that is produced in South Africa by Eskom. The number one being Gauteng based, basically because of the economic activities in Gauteng at about 35%, followed by KZN, again because of the economic activities in the ports and the hubs and things like that. So if they are able to reduce or to take some of the load off the grid, then that can also assist us in terms of going forward in terms of dealing with load shedding. But if you look at the initiatives at national government level, most of these initiatives, some of the initiatives that the Western Cape government is embarking on, will only kick in 2-3 years down the line. Initiatives such as buying power from IPPs and things like that. By that time, the initiatives that national government is bringing on board would have basically dealt with load shedding if all the plans are adhered to.
Right. So, I mean, I've heard a lot of what you said, and I suppose I'm still also trying to process and absorb it. But I think for a lot of people who are, accepting of the situation, trying to put on a positive attitude, it's the lack of reliability. And you say, yes, there's the online portal that people can go into. That sounds like a lot of work, particularly if you don't know how to understand the information. Before, you will rely on an app, and the app is generally correct, but then it's Eskom that doesn't keep to the times, and you get load shed for longer. So help us understand the difference between load shedding, unplanned outages, and load curtailment. Do they all have the same effect as we feel? Because we keep being told we're not going to stage 8, we're not at stage 8, but I can tell you when you've been without power for more than 8.5 hours, you do feel like you're in stage 8.
Yes, so in terms of load shedding itself, the Eskom implements load shedding basically to protect the integrity of the grid. So what happens is that in most cases is that you have a situation where the demand is about to exceed the supply. So then Eskom then has to look at that situation and then implement load shedding so that that situation doesn't exist. And if they don't do that, then it damages the grid, or it fiddles with the integrity of the grid. Now, the why Eskom is unable at this particular point in time to control load shedding to a greater extent is because we have a system that is basically unreliable at the moment. We've got about 6 power stations that are problematic. They break down almost, unpredictable, and sometimes some of the units, when they break down, Eskom fix them, and when they return them to service, they break down within 24 or 48 hours. And that then means that the problem needs renewal of the system. Eskom has done some numbers. They've done some root cause analysis. They've looked at what are the main causes in some of these power stations and how much that it would cost to fix some of these power stations. And they need about between 100 and 120 billion rand to fix the problematic power stations. So basically, they need to renew those power stations and then bring them back to life. So that is the current situation. And National Treasury has now made available about 250 billion rand to Eskom for them to service their debt. So what that does is it frees up about that much over a period of time for Eskom to be able to get money. Instead of using that money to service the debt, then they can then use that money that will then be available in their balance sheet to service the power stations that are problematic from now or going onward. And then we also have work that is being done under the Energy Crisis Committee, what they call the NECOM, which in my view has not been properly communicated to the public. What we have seen is that bits and pieces of that information has been released through the presidency to the media. And when such happens, in most cases, the media has their own interpretation of what is happening because nobody is standing in front of them and interpreting this kind of information, which is where I'm saying bringing information forward to the people and ensuring that people understand what is happening is also very, very useful. So the information that is in the 7 or 8 work streams under the Energy Crisis Committee, that information also needs to come to the public domain, simplified so that people can understand what is happening. For instance, the issue of the problematic power stations, that has been identified already. The National Treasury is also appointing international experts to come and basically verify the information that Eskom has managed to gather around those power stations that are problematic.